Welcome to the Art of Succession podcast with Barrett Young. Join us as we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that shape the journey of leadership transitions and business success. No matter where you find yourself along the journey, this is the podcast where you'll find the tools to make it happen.
Oftentimes either or, you have to let go. Well, it's not that easy. Business, to me, different than other people maybe, is pursuing the next goal, the next mountaintop. In the last 5 years, we have helped 3 companies recover from major cybersecurity incidents and ransomware.
Welcome back to part 2 of my discussion with Mike Ritsema. In part 1, Mike shared his story of moving from IBM sales into a managed service provider at his company, i3 Business Solutions. You can watch episode 1 right here if you missed that. Otherwise, let's get back to our episode. Back to your story, though, with the MSP thing in 2007, 2008. You're building something that is new across the industry. So how do you find a mentor when it's like you're on the leading edge of this new thing that's moving in that direction?
Yeah, and I think technology moves faster than some industries, let's say. So, retail has changed over 20 years, right? And it's going online and the whole chains are closing and so on. But some say technology changes every 6 months. And it is always changing, but it was the peer group. I mean, I'm reading the industry rags, I would say 15 years ago. Yeah, I'm reading online forums and tracking the websites for the industry and seeing the trend. But the peer group was the biggest impact of improving the company and seeing where the industry is going. Certainly conferences also. Our vendor for ERP, our accounting vendor specialist software, PSA, Professional Services Automation, has a great conference and a great peer group. So all these affinity groups I'm tracking and listening and webinars and everything else and reading the tea leaves, right? That's what we do as entrepreneurs. We're trying to understand where the business is and where is it going and what do we have to invest in.
Okay. So with a peer group, when you're all kind of going in this same direction, it's like, well, I'm trying this over here and I'm encountering this. And they're like, well, we tried this and we're encountering this. And so you guys are all kind of moving at the same pace together forward.
Yeah.
And mentoring each other on just slight tweaks and things that you can, as you're discovering this.
It's the great paradox of business. And by the way, my journey in life is from either or, right, wrong to both and. And so the great paradox and paradoxes, right, is, you want to be different than everybody else. Build a business that's different than everybody else. Don't follow the trend. Okay, good point. And, well, we've had a pretty good run following the trend of where the industry is going rather than saying, they're crazy out there.
Yeah, you want to be different, but not so different that there's no market for it. So you always want to be looking for what are those other 1, 2, 3 other companies that are racing alongside us that we can be one of the big ones in that group. So, okay, awesome. So you've had a couple other acquisitions since then, and it sounds like, the plans for those have just been acquiring smaller competitors, smaller companies, key personnel, different things like that, just expanding market share. Is that correct? It all kind of, you had a direction and it was just acquisitions in the same direction?
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I think, part of the journey of life is, what was it? Socrates who said, know thyself. So I'm at a point and I've spent my lifetime trying to understand myself. And I know that I'm driven by the challenge. What gets me up in the morning as an entrepreneur, a business person, the challenge. And so selling big deals, right? Hardware and the celebration around that, give me some of that. And actually I got in trouble with my company because when we really hit stride in recurring revenue, I got in front of the company and I said, this business is boring and predictable. They told me don't ever say that again. But to me,
oh darn, we know what to expect tomorrow. That sounds like a terrible situation.
I know. It was boring. I need the adrenaline rush of the big kill. And so that I enjoy that. So for me, know thyself, and I understand not every entrepreneur is like that, but that's the thing for me is the challenge. So the organic growth of going out and getting new accounts, I love that. Tell you a sales story for people out there, and I am a sales guy. I've been in sales my whole life, and I know how to sell. And I ended up at Panera Bread with a business broker. His name's Max, and I can still picture him today because he sits down, he looks at me, he says, "Sales is so easy." I said, what do you mean by that?" "Well, you go to LinkedIn, it gives you all the answers you need." I'm like, really? And yeah, man, I went out there and profiled people that might buy a business and, dial the phone, send them an email, and I'm sitting here with you. I'm like, you're right.
Oh, dang, it did work.
It did work. And that was a revelation to me. I think that's an evolution of sales and business that I could do a better job with. People listening might have that nailed. But it was fascinating.
Is that just using the technology, the big data, all that, all the demographics available to pre-qualify your leads a little bit better?
Yeah, and I was just looking at Microsoft pie chart on where their business comes from, and cloud and Microsoft 365 a huge part, Windows desktop and server a huge part, and LinkedIn is like 7% of their total business. It's bigger than their Dynamics. So LinkedIn, you can pay for Sales Navigator, and that will give you a very tight profile of who you're looking for. It's not cheap, but clearly that's what he used. And for salespeople out there, I mean, we know how to get new business. It's email, send postcards, network, make phone calls, get appointments. And he said, I can find you a business to buy. You hand me $3,000 and I will do a profile on who you're targeting. I'll find 120 companies. I will email them and call them, and we will get down to 5 to 8. You will talk to 3 or 4 of them and you will buy a business. I'm like, that sounds like what I do. And so I handed them the money, and that's when we found the one-man band.
Okay. Wow.
And we got some customers. We got a great tech, and really it was just kind of a signing bonus for the guy.
Okay. And then you've done another one since then, I think you said, in the past year or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the 5 employee company that was doing $1 million a year came to us in the COVID era, and I had met with this guy 10 years prior. I had written a letter of intent. He was in his mid 60s. His wife wanted him to retire and go to their condo in Florida. He couldn't do it. I mean, when it was time to sign, he said, I can't do it. But at the end of 2020 COVID, he called me up. He said, Mike, do you still want to buy my business? And he said, well, actually, I'll give you the business. And first week of December, my son and I drove across the state. We spent one day doing due diligence, and we came back, presented it to the team. 3 weeks later, we bought the business. I took off for Florida for the New Year, and came back, and we had 5 more employees and another $1 million in revenue. And that, to me, that's an example of organically selling, but also networking and being in a position to buy a business. And it was really fulfilling because we kept 5 employees employed and in healthcare, gave them continuity. It really worked well for everybody to help the owner transition at age 78, transition in a way that he wanted to. So it really worked out for everybody.
Okay. Is that how you've seen your role as sales shift from, very early, one of the few employees in a business, to now president of this large regional MSP? Is you're no longer out there buying the individual customers, I would assume. You have a sales department, you have a marketing team, things like that. But now you're looking for the different types of deals, like this large $1 million revenue acquisition. Is that this? keeping you from getting bored? That kind of approach to it?
Yeah, and I think it's the natural evolution of a business owner is I think it's difficult sometimes to recognize how one's responsibility changes. I can remember when I was at the food company and the owner, who's my age, 40 years ago, he'd walk in the door and everybody's like, "Be cool, the owner's here," and I can't comprehend people walking in here and being, "Be cool," Mike's here. But I have to accept that role and say, how do I fit into the community in a way that benefits the company in a different way? And that I think for some of us might be a new revelation.
Yeah. How have you, I mean, what kind of work have you had to do? Obviously, probably personally and with your peer groups and stuff to make that shift, because I know that's one of the biggest complaints about business owners who don't let go is they're still in the weeds, they're still micromanaging everything, they still want to be the person to have all those relationships rather than delegate and trust. How's that mental game shifted for you?
Well, I think again that's a benefit of the peer group is people going through that journey. And there's a lot of PE buying firms in our industry, private equity. So we see people doing that. And so sharing those stories, hearing the stories, seeing the reality of what's happening to people and their businesses and their decisions, talking to them on the phone, driving down the road, all of that informs this evolution. And then, I don't think there's a perfect answer. I think the personal journey of letting go is very difficult. I mean, it's very difficult. I believe for any business owner, I think that might be a reason that people sell. It's like, this is my baby. I know how to run it. Now, just a year ago, we bought another company, spent a lot of money, and this time we got an SBA loan. And so I'm trying to hand this over to my son and my leadership team. But well, I've got a lot invested in this business financially and emotionally or relationally. So to let go is very difficult. And we hired a coach to help us with that. I embrace paradoxes. I talk to people about that. It's both and, oftentimes either or. You have to let go. You have to let go. Well, it's not that easy. By the way, I have a clue. I've seen some stuff, and I'm not going to let that happen. So it's a paradox of business and life.
Two questions. One, have there been any big, other than like COVID and that all the downturns that you've gone through and everything like that, has there been any big moments that have exposed the weakness of not letting go early enough or of not delegating, trusting other people that have helped, wake you up or force you to this realization?
Are there any regrets? Yes, there's regrets. I mean, hindsight's 2020. But in a substantial way, I would say no. I think in that respect, I'm an optimist. I am a mountaintop guy. I like the challenge. It's, the bane of my life is pursuing the next mountaintop. I try to embrace the moment. My goodness, I just went to Florida for 4 days for golf. Played
Okay.
terrible golf, but enjoyed 2 walks on the beach. Somebody give me an award for that. Uh, but but business to me, different than other people maybe, is pursuing the next goal, the next mountaintop. It's very fulfilling to accomplish that. There's ups and downs. I think part of the fulfillment of life for me is the ups and downs, right? What do they say? I say. What do they say? What do I say? Life is lived in the mundane and the dramatic. By the way, another philosophy of life, I believe, there will be drama.
Yeah.
And when I was mentally depressed, and that summer, the industry had changed, and the company I was at prior to that, I would have been the only salesperson standing. I said to my wife, if I stayed at that company, I'd be the only salesperson, it'd be great. And she said, and you wouldn't be happy. Boy, I'm getting emotional right now because she understood me. And so that's what motivates me is the peaks. Oh boy, we're in trouble. Claw our way out. And so are there regrets or mistakes made? And should I have let go of more? Maybe and probably. But also the journey of business is this up and down and this persistence to move forward.
Second question, how have you delegated the leadership of the company, tested your son, tested your leadership, been able to expand beyond Mike makes all the decisions to now I bring decisions to a leadership team who I am subject to them saying no in some cases? How have you worked through that? And at what size was that at the right time? Do you wish you would have done it earlier? What size would you recommend a business owner start to put that in place?
Well, that's the biggest challenge. I think a lot of small businesses have 7 to 10 employees, right? And why does a business grow to 7 to 10 employees? And because that's what one person can manage.
Yep,
And
that's
so
enough relationships for me.
yeah. So our company, we had two partners, Kathy and me. Me, the sales type, Kathy, the steady service execution hand. And we grew to about 25, 30 employees. And that's about what two people can handle. We actually clawed our way to about 33 and started banging into that edge of management. And that was the challenge that I relish. And I could have sold to private equity, talk about succession plan, and decided no. And by the way, I had eventually bought out my partner. And for the first time in 20 years, the money was all coming to me. And once again, I got bored. I'm like, man, you should just kind of settle, semi-retire, let this thing run. Like, no, we need a new challenge. So a year ago, we bought this company. And so, but now the challenge is with 44 employees, 45, to put that management layer in. And that is the challenge that I relish. And we've hired a coach. I spend a lot of money on an EOS attraction coach who does our quarterly meetings with us and is also available for calls. And so he's a coach to the team. He's a coach to me, and I'm working through that journey of letting go. It's a challenge. It's not easy.
Yeah, I was starting to recognize some of the visionary integrator, possibly language from EOS there. So I was about to ask about that. Your son has that succession plan already started in motion? Feel free to not answer if you don't want to, but is he the visionary salesperson, or is he like a opposite of you, complementary?
I'm comfortable saying that. Partnerships are difficult, and when we bought 21st Century in 2001, it was my best friend from college who we raised our families together, and we went in business together. And he was the first one out in 05, 06. And it really shattered our family relationships and my relationship. Partnerships are difficult. And then even working with Kathy and I have had our challenges over the years and disagreements and drama. Partnerships are difficult. And it's the same with my son. Family, business, and partnership is difficult and real. So a coach helps that, right? But it's a reality. He understands it. So, and he's doesn't want to take over the business right now. So that plan is out there. He's very comfortable doing the right thing for the business as we move forward, and that's what we're doing.
Gotcha. All right. Awesome. Well, Mike, this has been great. Before we move on to the lightning round and conclude this great discussion, is there anything I haven't asked about, or anything that you wanted to hit on here?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay. I got one. Okay. Why I3, and when did that name change come into play?
Well, I'll tell that story. I love that story. So it was 2001, we got together at a friend's accounting company in a conference room. We had some crazy people there. Steve and Ron, Kathy led the brainstorming session, and started out with, okay, let's just put up names that come to mind with computers and technology. And people went up and put IBM and internet and integration and stuff like that, and computers and technology. And then, okay, let's just brainstorm anything that comes to your head. And Ron got up and put an I up there, a small I, right? I dot.
Before iPod and before
all that.
Before
Thank
all
you.
that, yeah.
Thank you, Barrett. Ron gets up and puts an exclamation mark right next to the I. So it's, line dot. I'm like, that looks really cool. I exclamation mark. But please don't name the company I exclamation mark. That's crazy stuff. So we eventually landed on i2. That was early internet years. We did a Google search and could find a company with a name i2. So we're like, i2, that's the answer. And, went back and realized the biggest integration company at the time in technology was actually i2 Technologies or something like that. It's like, oh crap, we shouldn't do that. So my partner was brainstorming. Kathy had, and I look over her shoulder and she had intrinsic on the screen, intrinsic, 3 I's. And so I said, why not I3? Intrinsic information integration, I3. And then years later, people are like, we can't use the word intrinsic. Nobody knows what it means.
Everybody keeps misspelling it.
So that's the long story of how we got to I3.
Okay.
And why I have a fixation on anything with threes, a fixation, yes.
Yeah. All right. Very good. And what today, where you said about 44, 45 employees or so, any particular niche for MSPs that you guys are doing, or what's the target size business at this stage in your company that you guys serve?
That's a very good question. And in the, the cool term pivot, but in the evolution of business and technology here's what I say is 10 years it was cloud, right? All cloud. So we got in the cloud business. We're cloud first. So we message cloud, and certainly Microsoft 365 has become a dominant cloud. But 5 years ago, it was cybersecurity. And we really, through a number of peer group partnerships and so on, we really built out our cybersecurity framework. And that's a big part of what we do today. And so today, for the company, our big focus is cybersecurity and over 100 companies protecting them. And Barrett, I will tell you, in the last 5 years, we have helped 3 companies, not clients of ours, recover from major cybersecurity incidents and ransomware. It is devastating stuff to see business owners going through this. And if anybody's listening here, my 2 pieces of advice is 2-factor authentication on your email business systems. Anything you can, 2-factor authentication with a different password on everything. And then secondly,
have a different one, yeah.
Yeah, back up your stuff. Please back up your stuff. We're dealing recently with a company that their backups were, the threat actors found a way to destroy their backups. Everything's gone. It is a tragedy. But to finish that, 10 years ago, cloud, focus now, cybersecurity. We know where the industry is going. AI, we're going to have to crack that code and help our clients with it. That's the journey of our business.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Mike. All right. So you ready for the lightning round then?
Bring it on.
All right. Let's start at coffee or tea, and how do you like it prepared?
Oh, coffee. I'm a guy that, when coffee was $0.25 a cup, I drank Coke. And then I realized I'm destroying my teeth. When Starbucks moved it up to $3-4 a cup, put enough sugar and latte in it, I'm like, give me that stuff. So it's coffee.
All right. Do you prefer pie or cake, and do you have a favorite kind?
Pie, pumpkin or pecan.
Yeah. All right. What is a common belief that you've encountered among entrepreneurs that you would want to challenge?
That is a tough question. And I would just submit that, a good plan assures success. No, all the planning in the world, given my story, does not assure success. When I build this business, it will be party time and fun. No, look at Bill Gates, look at Elon Musk, look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett still working hard. I think he enjoys it, but success is hard work. That's the reality. It is persistence and hard work.
Okay. Do you have a favorite holiday and why?
Christmas. I mean, tinsel on the tree. Well, back in the old days, my mom actually put tinsel on the tree. I want more tinsel on my tree and just family and the warm environment. I love it.
Yeah, great. Are you a morning person or a night person? And do you have a favorite routine that you like?
I think people marry their opposites, and I'm a morning person. I'm up, I'm in the coffee, I'm reading in the morning, and then getting straight on work, getting it done. And my wife stumbles out of bed and then she wants to talk at night. It's like I'm done. I'm a morning person.
It's like, wow, it's already 9 o'clock. Time. Yeah, totally. What is one thing that you would want your successor to remember about working with you?
Don't slow down. I think, like I said earlier, there's a lot of, certainly in accounting, probably in engineering and architecture, you need that steady, systematic team, and we have them. But I'm a growth guy. I'm a let's go there guy, and I would never want to lose that in a business.
So you need both.
Yeah, both.
You need the growth to make sure the business is still here a couple of years from now, but you need the steady customer satisfaction to make sure that the business is still here a couple of years from now.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yep. Awesome. Where are you finding creativity for yourself right now?
I like to read books. I'll tell you what, I've got a book here. I'll recommend.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
Do. No, absolutely. I love book recommendations.
This is a little sacrilegious for a Christian guy like me, but Gene Simmons actually spoke at a conference that I did not attend. I read about it in a magazine. I'm like, Gene Simmons, the lead singer for Kiss? Seriously? He's speaking at conferences?
Men's conference or something. Pastor's conference.
He wrote a book called Me Inc. Build an Army of One, Be a Rock God. And it's bound like a Bible. It's sacrilegious. But what a fascinating read. This guy, a poor immigrant who worked his tail off. So I love to read all different types of books and find inspiration from that.
Awesome. Yeah, I love biographies. I'll be adding that one to our bookshelf here.
Yeah,
good. Thank you.
I don't think I'm to the good part of the book yet, but it's great.
Oh, it's getting better. Very good. What's something that you have coming up in the next year at i3 that's got you really excited, or just personally anywhere that's got you excited for this next year?
We're building out our cybersecurity footprint, and so again, it is the challenge. We just finally a year later, we're all in one building on Monday. So the possibilities, the challenge to grow this thing and take it to the next level is real. And we've built a solid cybersecurity framework, but taking that further and expanding it, I relish that opportunity. And as a visionary, that's what gets me up in the morning. And as I can continue to shed other things and delegate, that just energizes me. I'll just say, furthermore, that journey that you described earlier of a new responsibility. How can I get out there? This is part of it. How can I be out there? In the community, speaking, sharing what I've learned, what I know, energizes me.
You're good at it. So hear that from me as a host. So I appreciate you being on. Where can people find out more about you, Mike?
Yeah, it's i3businesssolutions.com. That's shortened as i3bus.com. The letter I, the number 3, bus.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm out there. Track me down.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put all those links in the show notes too, so they can find those with this episode. And Mike, I just want to say thank you for being a guest on The Art of Succession. It's been a pleasure to hear part of your story, and I would love to consider having you back in the future if you've got anything else you want to share. So thank you so much.
Barrett, thank you.
I hope that you've enjoyed this episode with Mike Ritsema as much as I have. Here on the Art of Succession podcast, we interview business owners twice a month with stories just like Mike's. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can find the link down in the description below. If this episode has brought any value to you, I'd ask that you please share it with others. And I want to thank you for watching The Art of Succession.